of course, for corporations, it is an optional update. So,
You know what's not optional? How
These
many
hands.
was it money butchering this transition? Take it away, crazy.
Yeah. What's not optional is ordering monoclonal antibodies for yourself. There you go.
There you go.
So I don't know. There's a story, and we're here in Texas. In the Houston Chronicle, usually is a little bit left leaning on. I think so. They even came out pretty hardcore against Biden on this one. Uh, so right now they signed a new executive order saying that the Department of Health will now be in charge of distribution of Regeneron, which is just one brand of monoclonal antibodies that has been one of the frontline treatments for us here in in Texas.
How
So,
the turntables.
so but knowing this, right? And the Houston Chronicle themselves said that the administration is rationing uh, this life-saving treatment to Republican states, and it does kind of present itself that way. That it feels a little bit of a punishment for the governors that stood against, the vaccine mandate itself.
Thing I read this morning about it was that they're using the number of COVID cases in those states to determine how much to send to those states. So like these red states like Florida and Texas, like are they going to receive less now, like after this update, or?
So, well, the big moment that set a lot of people off was that Joe Biden had a press conference, and he did say that he was going to work on increasing the amount available by 50%. And everybody thought that was a great idea. It's been working in Florida, it's been working in Texas. We can, start letting other states use it and have an alternative to just being vaccinated, but actually a therapeutic to, treat mild symptoms, right? And then last minute they found out that like Florida is getting half of what they actually ordered. So they already put in an order and say this is how much we need at our current usage. And they're only going to get half of that because the administration said their words were we need to distribute it on an equity basis, not an equality basis.
I have like a problem with that. Only, like I get this is kind of treating the symptom and not the illness, right? Like pun fully intended, first of all. But like these states, they're pushing the vaccine, right? Because they say the vaccine will prevent as many cases. But these states, they have low vaccination rates. These people are, in need of health care. We shouldn't deny them access to health care that they need. Like, that's not the way to go about it, in my opinion. Like, say what you want about vaccines. Like, a couple episodes, Ethan and I sparred, about our thoughts on that. But at the end of the day, these are people, like human beings and Americans that need this treatment. Like, we shouldn't limit that based on their personal choice.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, you're right. And that was some of the seeing this play out because we've talked about a universal health care system before, right? Like in theory, it sounds like a great thing, but we've had an attempt at a universal healthcare system somewhat for the last 18 months, and it has not turned out very well, I think, because it just ended in the government rationing healthcare to states because it feels like states are disobeying them. And the CDC themselves is now officially changing some of the terminology surrounding the vaccine because it's like it doesn't meet the legal definition of a vaccine anymore.
Yeah.
What do
So,
you mean?
so it's not the best way I heard today was you call the smallpox vaccine a vaccine because it stopped the smallpox, right? Like
Hmm.
you don't hear about the smallpox nowadays. Well, COVID, the vaccines we so effective, right? Moderna itself was rated #1 at 91% effective.
Hmm.
So it's not stopping the virus totally. So it is more of a therapeutic than it is a vaccine. So the CDC is just starting to change some of the terminology surrounding it to they're looking at maybe classifying it more as a therapeutic, which would be a preventative, more of a vaccine, which is not a bad thing, right?
Hmm.
Maybe that will help a little people with the whole idea because I know like me personally, when you see so many breakthrough cases still with the vaccine going out, it's just it's no me personally, I don't see the risks of the side effects of the vaccine and the risk of COVID are about the same for me.
I, I mean, I know that you guys have like a superior blood because you're like oneg, but what's up, Ryzen? I see you in chat. Like we
Yo,
saw
Razine.
we saw a TikTok over the weekend, and that TikTok was actually it was either over the weekend or last week, and that TikTok went on to be published nationally by news organizations, and it's this girl going over the numbers of infected for COVID, and her numbers her calculations based off the current CDC numbers when she recorded it. If you're unvaccinated, it's a 1 in 8 chance that you would get COVID, and it's a 1 in 81 chance of you dying from COVID. I mean, comparing
Y-
those numbers being vaccinated to 1 in 12,000 of getting COVID and 1 in 13,000 of dying, those are better odds having the vaccine. But of course, that doesn't come into calculate the difference in blood type, different people and how it affects them.
So,
This goes
you
to
know,
show you that more people are susceptible and would need that other treatment.
Mm-hmm.
so that comes back to Regeneron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the numbers coming out of Florida, or the studies they're doing in Florida over their treatments versus others, right? Scientific method is you form a hypothesis, test it
Yeah.
out, present your results, peer review.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always get that from all the data and sheets that are coming out from the administration or the CDC, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we are getting some of that out of Florida right now, right? Peer reviewed, and there's one study saying that natural immunity is 27% higher as longevity than the artificial immunity that people get from the vaccine.
Hmm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of info we just don't know yet, right? Because
Yeah.
it's going to
We're
take
still learning.
years to figure this out. I mean, even the CDC themselves, they or the FDA approved the Pfizer vaccine, right? But even on the CDC's website, the long-term effects are still labeled unknown, right?
Yeah.
So how can they fully approve it when they don't have all the data, which is a question a lot of people have, but you can't ask these questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Ron DeSantis in Florida has been asking a lot of these questions and things seem to have worked out down there, right? They're on the tail end of Delta right now. And some of the data that we get is it doesn't matter if you're or it does matter if you're vaccinated, right? If you have the vaccine, the likelihood of you actually having severe illness is very minimal. But again, if you can get treatments like Regeneron right away, you're good for 90 days. Those are natural antibodies in your body for at least 90 days. So that can almost do it if you implement it properly, you could almost nullgate a wave like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm, that's interesting. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that.
Yeah.
So
Same.
one theory is that is Joe Biden starting to ration it because they're seeing that this is going to be the effective treatment for even the vaccinated, right? So if the epsilon variant comes up here and we don't the immunity we have isn't as strong to it, Well, if you roll Regeneron out across the country, man, that wave would almost stop within 90 days or 90 to 60 days.
Mhm. I'm just glad that technology's advanced enough to where we can actually get a vaccine under a year of a major pandemic hitting the United States or the whole world for that matter.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a techno marvel, but
Mhm.
again, there's always a catch to everything, right?
Yeah.
Nothing ever is as good as they present it. And with all the propaganda surrounding it, it just I think lowers people's expectation that it actually is what they're saying.
Hmm.
That makes sense. Because I think like at first it was just like, oh, the vaccine like would prevent COVID, but no, that's not actually the case. The vaccine will just, lessen your symptoms of COVID. So like there was a really misunderstanding when it first came out.
Yeah.
Interesting. So the HHS is reallocating it. What can states do to kind of like combat this rationing or like
Well, step one that Ron DeSantis said about Florida, what they were going to do is they're going to reach out to the other brand that hasn't been approached by the government yet and see if they can fulfill the need there. Uh, but my other question is, if it is something that can help people instead of rationing it, why aren't we financing it, right? Like, why don't we say, okay, cool, we'll help you build another plant to produce twice as much as this, and all we ask is a discount or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I would see there's ways around rationing. There's more positive ways to approach the angle, and I think that's why a lot of people are feeling that it's more of a punishment than anything else.
so playing devil's advocate, like what if we like what if we're just seeing like a shortage of it right now? Like there can't like how the pandemic hit, we had a shortage of toilet paper. Like what if that's the case right now? It's a shortage, so the administration is trying to prevent like an all-out buying war by trying to ration it out for
Mhm.
now.
I mean, it's possible, but again, if more money flowing to that company is more money that they have to produce the product, so thus, like and again, let the states have a bidding war, kind of, right? Like, let them funnel some money into this company and get them producing it, and then they'll have enough for the country. I mean, again, that's why I say if you fund the research, I would see funding the research being a better option than trying to stifle the research.
Yeah. Quick question. I'm guessing the add hair tie / accessory also counts to me, right? Because I have long hair.
Do it.
I,
Okay.
I don't have one. Sorry.
Shame. That's a shame.
I could do a giant man bun.
That's what I'm doing.
Just stick it under your headphones.
Those are now your
Oh,
accessory.
there. I hope you guys are happy. It's for you, Ryzen.
I'm working on getting longer hair than puzzled. That's my goal.
I saw a picture because I have like a photo widget on my phone, and I saw a picture of Ethan or Crazy and Puzzled like 3 years ago, and like you wouldn't even recognize Crazy. I was
You
like,
wouldn't.
oh, that's he. That's
Yes.
crazy.
Every single time I see a high school photo of Crazy, I'm like, is that him? Holy fuck.
I'll shave
Clean
one
cut,
day.
short hair. It's part of the Killer 60s.
Hell yeah. So the other day we were talking about that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite band from back then? Your favorite 60s rock band?
Shit, 60s. Hold on.
I mean, there's only two real options, right?
Like Beach Boys and Beatles, right?
The Beatles or the Stones.
Stones.
I should say British rock bands, right?
Yeah. I was trying to think of their name, like it's Rolling something. It's not the Rolling Beatles.
So if you had to pick between the Beatles or the Stones, who would you pick?
Stones.
You've already asked us this, and you like scolded us for choosing the Beatles.
Oh, piece of the stone. No, it's just like we've been asking everybody, right?
Mhm.
And come to find out, more guys will say Stones, and more women will say the Beatles.
Pixie, thank you for that follow. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, that
back
makes
to
sense because, like, the Beatles, they were the heartthrob band whenever they came out. They were doing things that no other band had done before, or group, I should say.
I wouldn't say that they weren't doing something that hadn't done before. I think it'd be more along the lines of they're doing something, but on a lighter note for a bigger audience. Because, I mean, there were other bands who were kind of doing the same things that they were. I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
Think of are the interview screenshots of the Beatles in interviews, and they're always like off the cuff. They're super cheeky. One of them was like, I don't know, it's off topic, but yeah, that's all I can think of.
Okay,
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm looking
But
at
to
some.
bring it back,
Mhm.
to bring it back, it's just again, does this put confidence in y'all about a socialized healthcare system?
I was never one for socialized healthcare.
I'm for socialized healthcare, but I don't understand exactly what the fuck is they're trying to do here with the whole bidding system, and it's just not right.
I can see that, like a bidding war between states, like states that are less affluent will. It's like it just drives poverty down even more. Like in my opinion, like you have states that are bidding for a life-saving medicine, and a big ass state like Texas obviously has more money than a smaller state. Like I can't think of one, but like what I'm saying.
But at that moment, that's when you have a federal government to help them out, right? Like that's where I was thinking that, okay, if you get to that moment, that's when the federal government steps in and says, okay, hold on, no, we're going to help out Delaware, and we're going to make sure that they have what they need, right? Because y'all seem to have already got the system rolling, everything's figured out, into the medicine's just pumping out at this moment, so we can help financially with the smaller guys.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up another great episode, and don't forget to join our amazing and supportive community on Discord.
In our Discord, you can find game nights, watch parties, food pics, Dungeons and Dragons, and more. What's not to love about that? We have a little something for everyone. Head over to our website, officialmillennials.com, and you'll find more info, especially our featured gamer of the week.
Speaking of something for everyone, we have a book club. We read a book almost every month and talk through it together. We also have a special perk for our subs to discuss other books in a series called Chapter 2.
Don't forget to swing by YouTube and drop us a follow at Official Millennials. You can also find us on Twitter at MillsOfficial. We appreciate all the support, and y'all have a good one.
This is an Official Millennials production.